Sometimes, in spite of our best efforts and in spite of their best efforts, swimmers struggle. When swimmers aren't swimming well, there's usually one reason that this is the case. Solve that problem, and swimmers are going to go faster. Let's check it out. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. Nothing is more frustrating than swimmers who aren't reaching their potential. Assuming that they're actually showing up to practice and doing what they need to do, there's usually one reason that they're not getting better, and that's fatigue. They're just tired. Training is obviously good, but too much training can be bad. And the mistake swimmers make, and the mistake we make as coaches, is to double down on those efforts and push for even more. The other mistake is to do the opposite and stop doing everything. In both cases, that's not going to help swimmers turn things around, and big changes often lead to bigger problems. But if we can get them some rest without losing much fitness, we can help them bounce back and bounce back better than they were before. I was recently asked to address situations where swimmers are underperforming and what I do to help get them back on track and help them learn to manage fatigue. Here are the strategies I've found to help swimmers turn things around and get back on track in a sane way. The best advice I ever received was to keep the intensity of the intense work up, but just drop the volume, and keep the volume of the lower intensity work up, but drop the intensity. Let's go into a little bit more detail about what that actually means. So for the intense work, we're going to drop the volume but maintain the intensity. So in order to maintain fitness, swimmers have to keep swimming fast. But if they can do that in really small amounts, they can minimize the fatigue that they create, and it'll allow them to recover while still maintaining their fitness. So for instance, if you were typically to do a set, such as 850s on a minute at 200 pace, instead you could, when you're trying to bounce back from too much fatigue, you could just have them go 250s on 2 minutes and still hit 200 speed. So it's going to be a lot easier set, but they're still going to be able to hit that same speed, that same intensity. So the main idea here is that you want swimmers to continue to swim fast, but you want to keep the fatigue really, really low, and you want to allow them to be successful. You want them to allow them to hit speeds, feeling good, and not be under a lot of pressure. The focus here is on practicing swimming fast, and the more swimmers can do that, it'll allow them to maintain that skill, maintain that ability without generating the fatigue that's causing problems in the first place. And now, with the fitness work, the key idea here is to drop the intensity but maintain the volume. Again, this allows swimmers to maintain their aerobic fitness while allowing for recovery. Keep it slow and keep the volume up. The intensity in this type of work is what does a lot of the damage, and the volume is what allows for the maintenance of a lot of the fitness gains. So if you drop the intensity, you maintain the volume, it's going to be a lot easier for swimmers to recover without losing much, if any, fitness. Now, of course, if you're swimming 100,000 meters a week and you're doing a ridiculous amount of volume, you're probably going to need to drop the volume as well. But in most situations where volumes are pretty standard, just dropping the intensity of the fitness work can make a huge difference. As a simple example, you can walk all day and not get fatigued, but if you were to do 30-minute all-out effort runs, you're going to get pretty tired pretty fast. The same concept applies here. Manage the intensity rather than the volume of the endurance work, and swimmers will keep their fitness while recovering. From a skill perspective, the idea is to focus on the most important and most basic skills that you know are going to make a big difference for that particular swimmer and for all swimmers. So focus on really important skills and help that swimmer get locked in on what they need to do in order to be successful. And as much as possible with all of their swimming, whatever work they are doing, it needs to be done really, really, really well. And an emphasis on those skills is going to help get them back on track faster. Use the most effective drills, use the most effective strategies that you have for the skills that you decide to work on. More than anything else, make sure that they feel really good about what they're doing and they feel like they're improving their skills. Fatigue can often cause swimmers to lose their groove and really disrupt their skills, so it's really important to get those back on track. And because you're not going to be generating a lot of fatigue, you have the opportunity to work on these skills at the same time. Be patient, get the skills back on track, whether you're doing the higher intensity work or the lower intensity work. Another overarching concept that's important to consider is building momentum. So as much as possible with every workout, you want them to experience some sort of success, some sort of positive experience so that they can start feeling good about their swimming again. At first, you want to do a little bit less, let them get some rest and ask for some pretty basic minimal performance requirements. And then from there, very slowly increase the challenge so that they can see success, so that they can see progress. So start off making it really easy and then ask for a little bit more. Let them be successful, then ask for a little bit more. Let them be successful and then continue on so that they can continue to build momentum and confidence in what they're doing. Be patient and give them opportunities to succeed, and they'll start to believe that they can be successful again. The last important issue to address is, of course, life. Obviously, life matters, and what happens outside the pool can influence what happens inside the pool. If athletes have tests, they have relationship problems, if they have terrible nutrition, if they're not sleeping, if they have family issues, these can all impact what's happening in the pool independent of the workouts that they're actually doing. Of course, these are issues that can be much more difficult to address because they're often well beyond your control. However, try to work with what you can, control what you can control, and try to influence what you can influence. As much as possible, provide support, understanding that it is what it is, and do everything you can to set them up for success when they're actually at practice and support them in whatever they're doing outside of the pool. So if swimmers are struggling and they're being consistent with showing up in practice and giving a reasonable effort, more often than not, for whatever reason, they're just getting tired. And the most effective way that I've found to reverse that without losing fitness is to drop the volume of the intense work while maintaining the intensity of that higher effort work, and drop the intensity of the low effort work while maintaining the volume. From there, work on the skills, build momentum, allow them to be successful, and sooner than later, they're going to be back on track, swimming faster than ever. If you want to learn more about the skills that create speed, check out the video here and check out the video here.